What's up guys, Rogue9 here. I received some great feedback and additional questions on my last Rainbow Six video looking at the impact grenades, and so I decided to post this quick follow-up video addressing those comments. A large portion of these comments focused on Montagne and his extendable shield. It seems to be a fairly common experience among Montagne players that they will block an incoming impact grenade with their shield and yet take more than 8 points of damage. Now my guess is that this is probably a fairly prevalent bug, and I tried to replicate it. I ran a total of 10 trials, and for me the damage was consistently 8 points. But this was in a very clean and clinical experimental setting. And with this many people experiencing this issue, I think it's important to highlight that yes, the damage I think is supposed to be 8 points, but seemingly random and yet unidentified factors may mean that you take more damage, even up to the maximum damage of 47 points for heavy armor. But something that will definitely influence how much damage you take is how you angle your shield in relation to the point of impact of the grenade. You see, a shield will only block damage if you're actually holding it towards the explosion. And you can bet your life that an experienced defender will know this, and instead of throwing the grenade at your shield, will actually throw it on the ground next to you or even slightly behind you. And if this happens, you're definitely going to be taking more damage, again up to the maximum of 47 points. And this is actually fairly difficult to defend against. There aren't many scenarios where you can stop a defender from throwing a grenade past you and exploding it behind you. And since we're talking about shields, here's an interesting question about Blackbeard and Tachanka's shields. Impact grenades thrown directly at Tachanka's shield will do 18 points of damage. And this seems pretty consistent as long as the grenades are thrown directly at the shield itself. But of course the shield only really covers the head and shoulders of the user. And as you can see here, any grenade either thrown below the shield or on the ground next to the operator will do up to full damage. Now of course this is fairly theoretical, since impact grenades are a defensive weapon and Tachanka is a defender, so normally you shouldn't really be throwing impact grenades at Tachanka's MG. Knowing what the grenades will do to Blackbeard's shield is far more important, and here my experience was somewhat more varied. As you can see, without a shield the damage is the expected 53 points, and now it seems as if the shield doesn't even block 8 points of damage, because otherwise we should have survived that second impact. Ouchie. Let's try that again, shall we? In my follow-up tests, the damage results were 23, 22, 22, and then 48 3 times in a row. Conversely, this means that half the time the damage blocked was 5 points, and half the time it was around 30-31 points. And keep in mind that for each and every one of these trials, we did throw the grenade at the shield directly at close range, with me presenting a stationary target. And I think the inconsistency here is that it is a relatively small glass shield that is only meant to protect the user's head and shoulders. And even with grenades aimed directly at the shield, significant splash damage onto the body can occur. Something that rendered more significant results was throwing a grenade directly at the body instead of at the shield. In this case, just like with Tachanka earlier, the shield will have no effect at all and you will receive full damage. And not only that, but as you saw, you will still lose your shield. Another interesting comment I received included the theory that grenades thrown at the back of an operator or at an operator lying on the ground would do more damage. I tried this out for myself and my results were consistent. Grenades thrown at the back of an operator or at a prone operator did full damage, dependent on that operator's armor rating, but no more. So in the words of Core Ross, this one's busted. And finally, last but not least, I was also asked about the damage capability of explosives for operators hiding behind a wall. Now, I'd already partially tested this in my experiments around the damage capability of breaching charges, but I thought I might as well retest for the impact grenade, and my results here showed that breachable surfaces provided no real cover. Damage for grenades thrown at chest height was exactly the same as the indirect damage caused by grenades that are thrown close to the opponent, either at a wall or the floor. But once again, there is a potential for inconsistency here. Grenades impacting on the other side of a wall at sort of head height or slightly above had a tendency to cause far less damage, around about half or less. So if you're trying to wallbang an enemy with an impact grenade, my advice is go for chest height, because that's where I had the most consistent results. And that's it. Many thanks again to everyone who commented with additional information or questions, and I hope the additional insights from this video will prove useful to you. Do feel free to share the video, and as always, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next episode.